Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Brew Roots, where we tell the stories behind your favorite beer. This is Sound Guy Ryan, and joining me as always is Erica and Matt.
Yeah!
Booyah.
Erica's here again.
Again.
How's wine season?
Oh, it's crazy. I'm drowning.
When is it over?
It's never over.
Never. Definitely October, end of October.
What's the most popular grape this season?
Hard to say. Sangiovese is always really popular.
Oh, the Italian table drinking wine. Yes, my favorite.
I know nothing
Zinfandel.
about this.
Yeah, just a lot of...
Sangiovese.
I just thought there was green ones and red ones.
Like grapes?
Yeah.
Well, there are.
Have you ever had
there
the
are
cotton?
green ones and red ones.
Have you ever had the cotton candy grapes?
Nope.
They taste like cotton candy after the first two, and then the rest
candy?
tastes like garbage, I think.
What are these?
You've never had cotton... Oh, we're going to talk about this off air, but if any of our listeners had cotton candy grapes, they know. If you know, you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't. We don't know.
kind of like the opposite of our guests.
Are they
this
real
week.
grapes?
Yeah, they're real grapes.
Oh,
They're real grapes. Because most people know about this brewery. It's not like an if you know, you know. I would say most people know about this
If you
brewery.
don't know, then like you're under a rock, I guess,
Or you just aren't a craft beer person, right? Like,
I guess.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's what I meant. I guess if you're in the craft beer world,
Yes.
you know about this brewery.
Yes, I would think
trying to
so.
say.
We would think so.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean if you don't, we still
It's
love you.
so cool. We still love you. It's
Love you even more, even.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So
Love you a long time.
Yeah. Who is in this episode? Who do we have this week, Erica?
We have Trillium.
That's right. We talked to J.C. and Esther from Trillium,
Yeah.
which has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We kind of talked in the outro of last week's that we were saying, like, it's not that we didn't want to do this episode. We just didn't cross paths.
Yeah.
Correct.
And now we did.
And now we did.
For a magnificent episode
Seriously.
of epic proportion.
Are you
Proportions.
purposely pronouncing everything wrong?
I think so.
Okay.
I've noticed this, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe I just don't know words.
That's okay.
Yeah. I've had a couple beers, so
Just a couple.
Words are difficult.
words are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm very excited for this episode of Trillium because we learned a lot. And I think people know a lot about Trillium, but I don't think they know everything.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that everyone necessarily knows their story or like about their owners and you know so
What
I
they
think-
stand for.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I knew they were like a good company per se, but like,
I didn't know they were this good.
yeah, talking to them, it's like, wow,
Good people.
good people,
Great people.
right?
Yeah.
right, exactly.
And it was cool because Ryan and I have a mutual friend, and you know him, who works there as well. And he's
I
been
know
there
him
for a
now.
while. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's people who work there stay there for a while, and it's a good company. So
And the new space is beautiful.
oh yeah, it is.
Has everything.
They have a pizza oven.
Yeah.
They have a smoker.
A
It's
massive patio.
yeah.
It's amazing.
Amazing kitchen.
Yeah. And we got a sneak peek of their Oktoberfest Steins, and they're now like on
So pretty.
social media, so people have already seen them, but they're gorgeous. Like, I am a sucker for these friggin' Oktoberfest
I know.
Steins, like
I have too many.
way too many. And I'm going to continue to collect them.
See, I brought home my last one. Yeah, I got yelled at.
Oh, Ryan.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's like, that's the last thing you need is another fucking Stein.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
like,
too bad.
Well, how can our listeners help us get more Steins, or maybe even like a cupboard for Ryan Steins?
oh, I know. Go to www.patreon.com/BrewRootsPodcast.
Yeah. Hashtag support Ryan Stein addiction.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, we want to get into episodes like Trillium or like our guest Lops last week. And the only way we're able to do that is amazing support by our friends and sponsors out there in podcast land and beyond. So continue to do so. Tell your friends, tell your family if you like what we're doing. And if you don't, send us a message. We want to improve.
Yeah, buddy.
So let's take it away to this episode, Sound Guy Ryan.
Okay.
Cheers.
So our listeners have requested this episode probably more than any other brewery.
Once or twice.
Definitely more than once or twice. So when we put out those Instagram polls and people put this brewery, we were working on it. I mean, it's not like they were saying like no to us. We're passing ships, right? Everyone's busy.
Exactly.
Erica, where are we today?
We're at Trillium, specifically in Canton.
Beautiful location.
Yes.
Yes. Kind of brand new. That's exciting.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that. But thank you for doing this. So we're here with
JC.
And Esther.
what's going on. And you know them as the owners of Trillium, which you're a popular brewery. People have heard about you, not just in Massachusetts. And we're going to get into what you're doing right. But before we start that, what are your roles at the brewery? and your first memory of beer.
So we have been open 8 years now, but working on Trillium for 10 years together. And I think it's mostly been just recently, actually, the last couple of years, where we've had a fairly good separation of responsibility, kind of focusing on each of our strengths. My background is in business. I have an MBA and I went to business school and I've started businesses before. It was kind of like what jumped us into starting Trillium. So I focus on that area, all of the administrative and legal and finance and HR, and kind of oversee all of the operational elements of running a business. Whereas JC,
Yeah, I certainly was the kind of the idea behind the beer and kind of the driving passion behind brewing to start. My background is in project management and research, clinical research. So it really worked really well with the idea of how do we use continuous process improvement? How do we ask a question by writing a recipe with an idea of what I hope it will eventually turn out to be? And I had a lot of skills from before that helped me to kind of help us to really bring Trillium into existence and kind of troubleshoot, because opening a brewery is a million different disciplines. It's not only, quote unquote, only brewing. To say only brewing it's kind of silly, because brewing in itself is this massive world of history and culture and technique and engineering, and it's all of those things just in and of itself. But now fold into some of the other disciplines that Esther had mentioned. It was very intense in those early days. So now with the team the size that we have and the different type of locations and how we operate, I'm able to better focus more on the kind of the founding vision and focus on the beer.
JC is the perfect balance of being both super creative and passionate, but also very detail-oriented, process-oriented. It helps to make everything happen.
That is a really great balance for
Yeah.
brewing.
Yeah.
I think with and before we get into the first memory of beer, I think that's important in beer. I think there are over 200 breweries in Massachusetts.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And there are some very consistent breweries, and then there's some that are not consistent. And I don't think anyone's going to come at us and say that they disagree wholeheartedly. You are one of the most consistent breweries that we've had. You know what you're getting from beer to beer, and it's always
Yeah.
going to be good. So, all right, I'm curious. First memory of beer, though.
That's so hard, because I think that my first memories are obviously like crap beer before
that's
I
okay.
knew what craft beer was,
Yeah.
right? Like you go to college and you just get the cheapest case that you can afford.
Yeah.
So
Grind
those
your
were-
quarters together and get a
Yes,
Yeah.
my roommate and I, my softball teammate and my college roommate, we would go and get like 24, a 24 pack of like the cheapest beer that we could
Nice.
afford. And that was our beer for the night. And like, how crazy is that two college girls are like, oh yeah, let's get our case to bring around with us for the night. JC has a very different story though.
What?
Your college beer.
Well, no, I mean, my college beer was Guinness, and everybody would make fun of me for spending
That's
a
awesome.
ridiculous amount of money on only 4 beers.
Would you get the nitro one?
The pub,
with
the pub cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's certainly not my first memory of beer.
Yeah.
It was, whatever the bullshit keg that people would get, and the ice house, and like, that garbage. But
God,
Yeah,
Ice
yeah,
House.
yeah.
I just think it tastes like pencils now. Sorry, Ice House. Big fans,
yeah, so I really appreciated the kind of the depth of flavor, and I wasn't out to get hammered drunk like all. I practiced
Like
in the
I was,
morning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like this girl over here. So I'd be slowly drinking my Guinness over the course of however many hours, and yeah, I was kind of the first one to go home, and I had track practice in the morning.
Yeah.
We would not have gotten together in college.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
I was going to ask. So you didn't meet in college?
No,
No,
we did
no.
not.
Yeah.
No.
So let's talk about this. You went into research. You went into business. What made you say, like, I do not want to be in this career any longer? I want to start a brewery in 2011, right? Like, that's crazy, right?
Kind of. I mean, we
Yeah.
started technically, so we got married in 2009 and came up with the idea of Trillium in, I guess, 2008. We were planning to brew all the beer for our wedding. JC had gotten into home
cool.
brewing. Yeah, it was really cool. So as we have a tendency to do, we go all in to the things that we're doing, not just like a little bit, but full circle, big picture, like
Can't dip your toe.
How many
Yeah.
layers can we add on to this?
Yeah.
So we brewed 3 beers for our wedding, not just 1 beer, and came up with the idea and the concept of Trillium along the way because we were like, oh, let's just imagine what this could be, like what this lifestyle
Just for
could be.
fun.
Just for
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
And I had a blog for our wedding planning so I could share that with family and friends. And JC started his first Trillium blog just for home brewing. And, we, like our buddy Kevin, who was one of our groomsmen, he is still the kind of creative brilliance behind all of our labels and our branding and the visual representation of like what you see when you think of
awesome.
Trillium. He's been able to start his own company called Fairfolk. They're awesome. And so we just we just kind of got started and started sharing it and then thought this could be something that we do together. So
The way I like to tell the story of how Trillium came to be, I had worked in research and kind of worked for big companies, and that's the kind of the path that my parents, kind of let me know that was
Yeah.
the idea for success. You go to school.
American dream.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You go to school, you get, a quote unquote professional job at an office and, make sure you don't do labor and those kinds of ideas, get a 401k and then start to climb the career ladder, get married, have kids,
Picket
and then-
fence. Yeah. All
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And then
Hold on,
eventually
guys.
cash in your 401k and then die. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Solid.
So I was on that track, and it was very interesting because I did a lot of clinical research, and it was, helping people along the way, working in oncology and diabetes and obesity, and it was, very important research to be done, but it never felt super fulfilling. But I never really knew that there was another potential path necessarily. Didn't really have any other examples, and then I met Esther, and she didn't have that constraint around her. She had lived her life in a way that was kind of, the person that would jump off the cliff, at least from a career professional standpoint.
Oh, I literally did that. It was very scary.
Yeah. It was kind of like an impossible thing. I can't imagine going from here to there. I wouldn't even know what the first step would be. So, fell in love with Esther and kind of just observed her courage in that way, and kind of wanted to live some of that for myself, and I didn't feel like I would be my full self unless I did kind of take that leap necessarily. So I always kind of credit Esther for the existence of Trillium much more so than I could have ever come up with on my own.
That's so nice, buddy.
That's not.
Yeah. Seriously.
This would not be here if it was only me. I would still be homebrewing, probably.
Brew Roots now tells love stories.
Seriously.
Yes, that's our new segue.
It's very romantic.
No, I could tell
love
that
it. That's-
I could tell that you guys were a
sense.
unit because like I saw you guys still hugging like over there. I was like, oh, they love each other. They're hugging still.
Aw.
Like it's like
do.
you
It's
work
real
together.
life.
Yeah. How is it working together with your significant other? Is that
Esther always says it's 80% great.
okay?
You say, you're like, oh, it's
80%
awesome.
great.
And I'm like, it's 80-20. I mean, like, it's mostly great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's so cool. Like, we get to do stuff like this together, and we have lunch together. And, I mean, it's really great. Like, it's really cool. But then there's the whole, Trillium and Tetro becomes our entire lives, and there's no turning it off. And we find ourselves out to dinner and, like, on a rare opportunity because we've got 2 kids and we just got a dog, which might have been dumb, but, like...
No, never
you
done.
go.
Never done.
Why not, right? So we find ourselves out on a rare date night and we're talking about work. And then we'll have to be like, oh, no, wait, let's stop it. Like, we have other stuff to talk about. And then 4 minutes later, we're back to talking about work. So, it all
Yeah.
kind of bleeds together.
Yeah.
Is work for you?
No, it's this is the reason why we end up talking about what is quote unquote work, even in the off hours, if you want to call it that.
It's life. Like,
It's
our
a-
work is literally our life.
Yes,
I
it's who we are,
Yeah.
and it's what we get excited and passionate about. So that's why we end up kind of talking about either what we're doing now, how it could be better, or future ideas and dreams, and
Yeah.
what's this going to be like. It's just fun to think about those things.
Yeah.
So
I
we
would-
end up talking
yeah.
about it.
I always kind of think about, like, what are some of the professional challenges that make it like work? Like, it really is our job. This is what we do for a living. And so we're always kind of looking for the professional development within it as well. Like, what can we learn? What can we apply? What can we share? And so that helps make it feel, because also like I like having a job. Like I
Yeah.
this is what we actually want to do for the rest of our lives. So, you know, I know a lot of people say like, oh, if you love what you do, it's not work, but
Yeah.
like it is.
Yeah, it is.
And that's okay. Like it should be work. You should be pursuing something. You should be like applying yourself to something. And I'm okay with that. And so it does also make it necessary to like try and shut off sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So kind of to sidetrack, where did Trillium and your logo come from?
Yeah, so I'm a giant sort of botany, agricultural nerd as well, and Trillium's just, for whatever reason, you know, I used to flip through all the books that I had and my mom had, botany stuff, landscaping things, as a kid, you know, 8, 9, 10 years old. That was
What
like,
a cool kid.
I'd look to the bookshelf and that's what I'd be looking through. So for whatever reason, the native North American woodland flower, Trillium, always stuck out to me as being a very unique, incredible thing. Not that we had some in our backyard. I never saw them in person, but it's incredible range of beauty in its different forms, and its incredible symmetry and balance in this very kind of slow life cycle for woodland wildflower is very interesting. It takes 7 years from the time the seed germinates till it flowers for the first time. So it's very strong, but also fragile in the same sense. It's very much a part of its environment. So I don't know. It's just
Cool.
and the word itself has this kind of familiarity to it.
Yeah.
In this really cool. The word has balance as well.
Yeah, for sure. It
Strong.
sounds really nice when you say it.
Yeah.
Trillium.
And it sounds familiar,
Well,
like
yeah.
I've heard of
Yeah.
that, but you have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
It's funny. I came home one day, like in our early days into our, you know, the condo we were living in together. And I saw, it was really like talking about romance, like the high school notebook that you write your like, J.C. and Esther, I
Yeah.
love, you know,
Forever.
I love
Yeah,
Esther.
yeah, yeah.
No, that's not what was written there. It was Trillium Brewing Company, Trillium Brewing. And I was like, what's Trillium? Like, what is that? He's like, oh, that's going to be the name of our brewery. And I'm like, but what's a Trillium? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I am a person, I have this fixation, like this problem. It's definitely a problem where I like everything to be linear. I like straight lines. I like balance. I like symmetry. And so it looked really beautiful to me. Like I can see when something is, I just said it to somebody, I can see when something's like a degree off or just like a millimeter off
You and
balance.
my dad would get along.
Oh my God, it
swimmingly,
makes me want to vomit. Like I can't handle it.
Do you do this kind of thing with your hands and like try to balance?
No, I
things
can
out?
just
No?
see
You can
it.
just
Like
see
I
it?
can
Yeah.
just see it and I have to fix it or I have to leave.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. All right, so before we step in the time machine and talk about like 2015 and 2016, you know, the
boy.
years of bombers and 22 ounce.
Wow.
Coolers, yeah. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors. So we said we were going to the time machine. Your first location was in Boston, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
At the Fort Point.
Fort Point.
Yep. So I remember going there, very small location, waiting in line.
Little closet.
I loved it.
Yeah.
You loved it.
Listen, when you have other options to go to, I'm just going to be honest with you. The Fenway location and this location, more
Yes.
convenient to get to. Sometimes parking's a little bit better.
Heard. Yes.
Yes. Listen, I'm not the first person to say that, okay? Listen. But fell in love with the brand at that point because you could go there, you'd wait in line, you're talking with other people who know nothing about beer, or they think they know a ton about beer, and they're like, this is the best beer in the world. And then you actually have it. Really good beer. Fast forward to 2021. I don't think you guys still sell bombers, do you?
There's a few beers that we still have in inventory that are the 750 mil glass. Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah.
And then your profile's changed quite a bit from the beers that you're brewing, right? I mean, I still can get amazing world-class saisons here. Some spontaneous fermentation beers that you have that I was so excited to get. But we see a lot of IPAs, double IPAs coming from you. Is that the style of beer that you enjoy to brew, or is that?
Yeah. So and I still feel like Esther gets annoyed when I say I still feel like a home brewer, and that's how I started, and it's kind of how I still think about beer. I think about how it's made, the ingredients, and I love the entire portfolio of everything that is possibly related to beer. So when somebody asks me, well, what's your favorite style of beer? It's like, I honestly don't have one.
Like picking your favorite kit.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it all. If you love music, whatever it might be, and some people maybe have a favorite genre, but if you're really a lover of music, you kind of love it all.
Yeah.
So, our original portfolio was a pale ale,
Yep.
a red rye saison, an oatmeal porter, and a farmhouse beer, sort of like an American saison.
Yeah.
And kind of it sounds so silly and so antiquated at this time that was going to be sort of those would be our core offerings, and we would do an anniversary beer, maybe some seasonals, and if we were able to do that consistently, that would be as big as we could possibly imagine. And then I think the Congress Street location, our original little broom closet of a retail shop, it was so small, and you're so close, and you could see what people were really excited about. And we've always been very flexible. We've always been wanting to and willing to recognize that if we were making beer for ourselves, well, then I should just keep home brewing. But we're making beer for our customers, and
You can only get married like once, really, right? To the same person.
So
right?
I hear. Yeah.
So
Right.
like, yeah.
so the idea of hospitality and wanting to do what people want us to do is a very important thing. So obviously that skews very heavily towards hoppy beers right now. So our portfolio skews to those things. We have built the infrastructure, and pre-COVID times, we were really getting into that full range of beer styles, classic beer styles from around the world, as well as kind of new modern interpretations of them. So, this was a major speed bump to kind of really narrowing our portfolio down as of late, really last year and a half, 2 years even. But I'm very excited to say that we're going to be getting back to that much broader range that reflects that very broad range of customers that we not only currently have, but also want to encourage to come visit us and understand the full spectrum of what Trillium's hospitality has to offer.
That's one of the things that I certainly have loved about you guys. You do serve a full range of beers. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, we have a beer for everyone," but you guys really do. You have the sours, you have the farmhouse, you have the IPA, you have a porter or whatever,
Yeah, see, I was going to say that. I was going to almost challenge to say it's kind of funny to hear that now, because I see such a wide range on our menu when I look at it now that I'm like, oh, we do. So just like you said, Erica, like so much more than just hoppy beers. And so I'm sure it was, pre-COVID, but there was one point where I was looking at our menu draft list in Fort Point.
Yeah.
And there were 24 different styles of beer. Like,
that's insane.
Let alone different beers within the same genre or category, like 24 different styles. And I was so excited and proud to kind of see that, because it reflects the creativity that our team has and kind of that passion for learning and experimentation. And that's what we want to be able to provide, not just for our customers, but like for our team, who's super inspired by, brewing new things, trying
Yeah.
new experiences.
And it's not just 24 different styles, 24 different styles done really well.
Yeah.
Thank
You know,
you.
so many
Agreed.
brewers, like, they do, 10 different styles, but their good ones are really just 2 or 3. You know, you guys are really killing it all across the board.
Yeah, we see
Thank you.
breweries all the time that
Yeah.
are like, we brewed 400 different beers in a year, and I was like, wait, what? Why did you do that? What didn't catch? When did you realize that Congress Street was just not going to be enough?
Almost
First day we
it was
opened.
almost immediately. And before we opened, really,
Yeah.
sort of looking around, saying, "Oh my God, there's like no room to breathe in here." Lowest hanging pipe was 8.5 feet. It was like it was.
We had no idea. We didn't know what we were doing
No.
when we
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still learning.
But it was, yeah. We still barely know what we're doing. Yeah, I mean, it's that jumping off, not really know what you're doing, but you kind of have to crack through the inertia with the resources that you have. There was no bank loan to be had at that time.
Yeah, they're like, you want to start a brewery? What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah.
Right. We had no.
Yeah, what's your
like,
experience?
Yeah, I
Right.
have none. Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like you're not going to get a loan then.
Solid plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If your name wasn't like Jim Cook in like in 2011.
Yeah. So we took our life savings and just jumped off the cliff, and it was not nearly.
See, the 401k paid off.
Yeah,
Not
right.
just our life, like all of our money and
Yeah.
every paycheck. We kept our jobs, like
Oh, yeah.
our other jobs,
Yeah.
for
Right.
over a year. Actually, it took us over 2 years to actually get open. Had 2 kids in that time frame as well.
Yeah.
And then,
Why not?
because why not? Like,
No
okay,
dog,
we're gonna
though.
start
Yeah.
no dog.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
waited a while for the dog. But like over 2 years to get open, all of our money, all of our bills going to pay for like our mortgage, our kids, and this brewery that doesn't exist yet. So we had to keep our jobs for. JC kept his for a little over a year after opening, and I had my business for over 2 while like.
So like having kids and a dog was like nothing after that. Like we're like, yeah, we can do this and we'll open a brewery. I can do anything.
You can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like we knew, I mean, we ran out of beer the first week we were open.
Wow.
And that was so stressful. Like
Yeah.
super stressful. And so you talk about like waiting in line with people, like that stressed us out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going from Congress Street to here where we're sitting in Canton, we were like,
You can
I don't want to wait on, I mean, a little bit. Now there's still so much more that we want to do here, but it still feels like go to like create a better experience for people to be able to like provide that hospitality JC reference and just kind of like the quality and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and just the awesome feeling that you want to have when you go to a brewery.
So I'm going to commend you. I think that you and Notch were the most conscious during the COVID time and made us. I know that we went here after a different interview and made us feel probably the most comfortable.
Thank you.
At this brewery. You guys did really great precautions with your mobile to go. I think it was awesome to see that you guys kind of not pioneered it, but I mean, there was other breweries that did it, but you kind of led the example. I think you and Notch did an excellent job in that, and it was really cool.
Cool.
to
Thank
see.
you.
Thank you. That feels good.
Good.
Yeah.
So Canton, you realized that like Congress Street was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Why Canton?
Yeah, Canton. I probably spent an inordinate amount of time trying like hell to find a space in Boston that we could open a production brewery.
You and a million other people.
Oh my
Yeah, right.
And I was looking at these just completely awful spaces that cost 3 and 4 times as much as out here, and I just kind of had to give it up. It was like, oh, that's great. We opened in Fort Point on Congress Street. It was such an important part of our identity. A lot of our beers are named after the street.
Congress Street.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
right.
So to kind of feel like we had to give up that idea, I kind of had to let that bit of pride go because I knew for what made sense for Trillium, for our customers, and for our team members was to find a space that the business could afford, that could allow for us to grow, to make enough beer with the right equipment, and package it in a way so that it wasn't just, limit one bottle and, 32-ounce growler feeling like all that ridiculousness
Yeah.
from the early days. So I
weird.
kind of had to give up that bit of pride and to kind of come out to Canton. Canton was and is still very friendly for us, and we love being here.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like at first you probably wanted to identify as a Boston brewery, right? You wanted to be like, we're the city brewery.
Yeah.
Now I can't even envision. I know that you're at Fenway, right? Like, and that's great. That's a great location, but it's like I think of Canton. I think of the
Yeah.
beer that
Think
you're
of-
producing. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is this has
Yeah.
become the destination now, and it's funny to see. One of the things that we pride ourselves on and have actively worked towards is being a totally warm and welcoming, inclusive environment for everyone, anyone and everyone. So for our team and then for our customers, everybody should feel comfortable here and be able to come have an experience that suits what they're looking for at that moment in time, whether it's the date night or going out with their kids to have a drink and a beer while you let your toddler,
run around,
kind of run around a little bit, or
Yeah.
having a bachelor, whatever it is. We want people to be able to share those experiences in our spaces.
What year did you guys open fully in Canton? For
2015.
Yeah, December 2015.
so in 2015, I think there was 40 breweries in Massachusetts, not a lot, and not a lot doing hospitality on this. On this. So, who did you look to for those models, or did you kind of just say jump off the cliff and we're going to do it this way? This is what we know and we like.
We had some places that we felt comfortable going to that kind of inspired us, either from the menu or their approach to hospitality or being a neighborhood place. And so there were a few places that were our go-tos that we were I want people to walk in here and come in for their Thursday night dinner, and our staff knows them and they know us. And there was actually, I guess we can share some names, right? Of places?
Of course.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
Shout 'em out.
shout them out. So we got married and lived in Brookline originally, and so the Public House in Washington Square was one of our go-to places. And actually, it's really funny because when we opened, it was our soft opening in Canton at Shawmut, our original location, and we had a babysitter for our kids, so both JC and I could be here. But David, the owner, was at the event.
Oh, that's nice.
And my babysitter texted me at one point, and she was like, "Oh my God, I'm locked out of the house. I forgot my keys. I was outside at the park with the kids, and I can't get back in." And I was like, "Oh shit!" And just go walk to the Public House for dinner, and we'll take care of it later. But so my kids walk in and they go sit down at their regular table, and the servers there all knew them, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Okay, Luke's getting chicken nuggets and Elena's getting mac and
Oh my
cheese, and we'll
God.
settle it up later." But it was
That's great.
that type of vibe that we wanted to be able to have.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that location, obviously, are you still brewing at that location, or?
Yeah,
Yes.
we've got our lease there through early 2024.
Yep.
So we've got the kind of
25, right?
nope. It's much sooner. We are and will continue to produce there through the end of the lease and go through a transition period where we'll bring all production and the team and quality, packaging, warehousing under this roof, which we're really, really looking forward to that. But as you are all aware, things in beer change dramatically.
At the drop of a hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be changed by the time this
Right.
episode releases. So
To take this interval of time to make sure that the Forever Home production brewery is truly going to be forever, we feel lucky in that we do have a little bit of runway to kind of make that plan of that transition.
yeah, absolutely.
And now you also have a farm.
Yeah.
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 That was the dream originally. We actually literally had a friend draw a concept. She's an architect, and she drew out our dream farmhouse brewery that we had, in our minds, located on this beautiful site in Stonington, Connecticut, which is right down the street from the vineyard where we were married, Saltwater Farm. And so we always envisioned this beautiful, and now definitely too small, brewery on this little slope with these stone walls, and it was so beautiful. And now here we are, however many years later. And we showed that to people, and they were like, that's crazy expensive, right? And we're like, what do you mean? No, we didn't know.
Yeah.
And so now our farm is actually the next town over in North Stonington, just 15 minutes from there. And it's still probably too small, but
Whatever.
we're
Yeah.
making it work.
Exactly.
That was the founding idea for what Trillium was to be, our modern New England farmhouse brewery. And it's taken till now to even to start to be able to realize that concept through the beers, truthfully, with estate-grown ingredients, local grain, and fermenting microbes.
I'm so proud of your first beer. from our farm.
Thank you very much.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we made a collaboration project with Kent Falls last year called Grain Shed. Barry from Kent Falls and I am some of the founding members of the Northeast Grain Shed Alliance, which is to help to encourage and raise the visibility of the importance of the local supply chain, particularly as it pertains to grains for beer, for food, spirits, that sort of thing. So we grew our first sort of little pilot plot of heirloom corn at our farm last year, and it included that as a portion of the grist for that corn lager. So I think to kind of to use that intentionality behind that first beer and to actually include others in it as well, because Trillium doesn't exist unto itself. It's really a part of our larger local ecosystem, and if we're going to be successful in what we set out to do and share with our customers and our team, we need to be inclusive in that way. So that's one of the reasons to not sort of stand on the chair and kind of say yay for us.
Yeah.
We did this. This was more of a statement to say. Yes, we're proud that we've done this, but we want to kind of wrap our arms around the community and champion others that are also doing it as well.
Yeah, sharing good practice, like especially as it relates to things that are really important to us, like environmental sustainability or regeneration, which is what's so necessary right now.
Yeah.
Those are core to our mission, but it doesn't benefit us to just like do it ourselves. Like it has to spread. We have to be able to share those learnings or bring other people into the fold for it to really be impactful. And so for things that are kind of really important to us, like any of our kind of extra missions like that, like agriculture and food health, like healthy food systems and, some of the family support stuff that we do, it has to be a community effort. And so we're, excited and proud to share those with other collaborators and other like-minded people and just kind of expand.
So that's why you guys don't collab with everyone. Interesting. No. So we're going to take a quick word from our sponsors, and then we're going to get back into some beers that are on tap right now at Trillium and what maybe is in store for the future. Take it away, Sound Guy Ryan. So core brands, what is the year-round beer that you always have on tap and the beers that you're known for?
Oh, well, we don't have anything always on tap anymore. And it's something that we, like J.C. said before, we kind of talk about that all the time because there are some things that, especially if you're excited to make your one trip to Trillium, like you're coming from wherever, Ontario or Seattle, like we see, it's so cool to see these cars, like license plates in the parking lot, or hear stories, see people with their suitcases in Fort Point, and they're like, oh, I'm so excited. I have people from the UK that like DM me all the time being like, I'm coming this weekend. Are you going to be there?
You're like, no. I have kids. Yeah.
So, I appreciate that sometimes people might be disappointed. They're like, oh my God, I want to have double dry hopped Congress Street, like fresh at the source. And that is what I'm expecting to have. And then we don't have it. Like that can be a bummer, but we want to be able to introduce people to other things. And I think that's one thing that our team is really passionate about and excited about. And they do such a great job of like no, we don't have that. But if you like that, then you should definitely try this.
So beer education for your staff is huge.
Yeah.
What's that look like for your staff? I mean, when somebody is brought on as a beer tender, right? Is that something?
Yeah, do you have like education every week? Or?
We do a lot of education at Trillium because we love it. So we have a full 2-week orientation. Whenever anybody starts, they get introduced to not just the knowledge base for their role, because like, again, it's so much more than like if you're a bartender, you're part of.
It's an ecosystem.
It's a whole ecosystem here. And so we're looking for a better word for that, but it really is true. And so, part of your team is the team that makes that beer in Canton, but also delivered that beer to you. And then there's a whole team that like pays your checks and makes sure that your benefits are, in place. So like we have such a broad team that we want everybody to be aware of. So that 2-week orientation period introduces everyone to everything and every job that we have here. So that way you have an appreciation for the broader team as a whole. But then because we do so much experimentation, like our chefs, and we try and get our brewers or our head brewer to come and talk about the new items that we're offering, like whether it's a new menu item on the food menu or our new beers. We talk about like what they're similar to, where the ingredients came from, the partnerships that we have with them. And so every shift, there is an education component to it.
Yeah. Definitely important. I think that's what sets good breweries from great breweries. It's like
For sure.
having that education for the staff. I'm always curious. Feedback. Your beers are some of the most checked in beers on Untapped.
Probably, yeah.
Some of the most shared beers across the country, for better or worse, right? Because you cannot control the beer that's getting shipped through UPS. And
Stresses me out.
definitely, I can appreciate that. Where do you solicit feedback the most for your beers?
Well, we have a multidisciplinary feedback process from our team. It's not only the brewers who are making the beer, develop the concept, who are assessing the quality of the beer, and we use a software platform called Draft Lab Pro, which is specifically designed to kind of develop a database around the intention for a beer, the measurable parameters, and nerdy stuff, right? So it's like how do you capture quickly and easily and consistently feedback from a diverse range of folks within the team in a way that doesn't have. Not that this would happen, but it's not like sitting in a room with J.C. with his hands on his hips, staring at you in the eyes, saying, "What do you think of my beer?"
Yeah,
Right.
So it's good, right?
Yeah. So it gives people a chance to have honest feedback around what their perception is, and we have a sensory kind of profile training system as well. So it's not just do I like it. Because everybody does have different sensitivities to different flavor profiles and off flavor profiles as well. So I'm the one on the team that is very good at detecting a chemical compound called THP. It's an off flavor in mixed fermentation beers. And
What's that off flavor similar to for our listeners who don't know?
some people call it like mousy, which is
like
Cheerios,
musky kind of, right?
Yeah, like Cheerios, mousy.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to me that tastes
Yeah.
and tastes like THP. It's its own thing. So, anyway, so that's a descriptor. So we've got super tasters for certain off flavors, or people are very sensitive to things that would be considered to be a positive thing as well. So. Only in the collective are we able to kind of harness that through the Draft Lab Pro software that allow us to kind of make forward progress. And if we think about the sustainability of Trillium, it can't and shouldn't rely on a singular person. It should. The power is really in the collective of the team. So that's a mechanism by which we've kind of really developed, and we continue to grow over time.
I'm the worst in sensory. Our director of quality and innovation, Burke is so great. He is like super science guy, and he tries to lead this like really clean sensory experience. And I'll
No talking.
No
No
right.
talking.
Like literally, like our lab actually is in the sensory room. It's a white room.
Oh
and
my
it's got
God, I love it.
partitions.
It's-
Oh my God,
It's like Apple. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And so I'll walk in and be like, "Oh, this tastes like garbage. What's next?" And he's like, "No, that's not how this works." Like,
I love it.
yeah.
That's great.
We talked with Firewalker's sensory team, in a previous interview, and they mentioned that it's difficult to go out and dry other people's beers because you're so sensitive to those off flavors. Do you find that the same way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their personal preferences. I would actually say it's a lot easier to enjoy other people's beers because I don't exactly know
Not
what their
analyzing it.
intentions were
Yeah.
behind it, right? So if I've got a very specific goal in mind when we design a beer, and if it doesn't hit exactly that, which it almost never does,
Right.
then I'm not happy with it. But if I drink somebody else's beers, like that whole expectation for what it's going to be is not necessarily there, and I'm able to just enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, if there's significant off flavors in there, then of course that's kind of yelling at it. But I generally have a good expectation for the beer that I'm about to enjoy, the kind of brewery that makes it, and people say there's a lot of bad beer out there, but man, there's a ton of incredibly
Definitely.
good beer out there. So I think maybe I'm able to kind of preferentially choose the beers that I drink when it's not Trillium, and not really have a lot of negative experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there's some beers that you didn't execute on, or it didn't fill all the boxes for.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there a beer that you're like 100% like this is the most perfect beer I've ever brewed? Or, like what's the beer that you're most proud of?
Oh my God.
I don't know we've ever said anything perfect ever
Yeah.
to
Well, maybe not
anything.
perfect, but
Yeah.
most proud of.
Most
Yeah.
proud of.
Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, I don't know. I could name so many.
I know.
many.
I think it's part of the probably why I'm sitting in this chair is because it's like I don't ever feel fully confident and comfortable in anything that we've ever done, and then maybe it's like I need to work on that personally.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very proud of
And being
JC's accomplishment.
happy with it, but there's always something to do in terms of the beers that I really, really enjoyed Grain Shed, that beer that we made last year with Kent Falls. I think that beer turned out very well. It definitely did not hit on what the intentionality was behind that beer. We used a lot of whole cone sauce in that, and the kind of the full range of that floral herby character that comes from the hops did not come through
yeah.
in the same way that I experienced with
Pellets and things.
Yes, a Kent Falls beer that was
Yeah.
made with the same technique and the same timing and
Oh,
the same
wow.
ingredients,
Yeah.
but at our brew house. So that was an interesting thing. But putting all that aside, I have one can of Grain Shed left in my fridge that I'm just. I just can't bring myself to drink because then it's going to be over.
It's
gone.
Unless we
Yeah,
brew it
right,
again.
right. It's gonna be gone one day.
I'm very proud of your wild beers.
Thank
Some of
you.
those that you've been like
I
really
would agree. I love
Yeah.
all the wild beers.
Yeah, same.
especially because they are so much less predictable and take so much time to
Yeah.
be what you want it to be. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But like bees, you love bees.
Yeah.
Apricot Stonington,
Yeah.
Cuvée.
Oh,
like
you know what?
some
I
years.
actually had apricot Stonington very recently.
Oh, cool.
No
So
way.
that's something
So the-
that I have in my basement. Yeah.
The one reason I'm actually proud is never right the word. I always have a tough time with the idea of being prideful about something, but I kind of stuck to the idea that we were going to develop our mixed fermentation program with in using only the microbes from the farm where we were married, and
Wow.
it would have been a lot easier for me to just buy the Brett Lambicus
Yeah.
and the Rosalaire mix from the labs, and been able to make it a very, very well received, reasonable approximation of those kinds of beers that are otherwise well received from other breweries. And I knew it was going to take us a long time to fully understand how to best ferment and brew with that microbe mix, and it's taken years for us to do so. But boy, some of the more recent beers like Blood Root and some of the kind of the paler, lighter mixed fermentation beers that are very fermentation forward, and we figure out the right balance for the acidity and the fermentation character that comes from that microbe blend. And then layering on top of that our soon to be released spontaneous beers are way better than I could have ever possibly imagined they would be. Standing in front of a 50-barrel cool ship in the middle of an industrial park in Canton,
That made me so
I'm just
nervous.
like
Yeah.
closing my eyes saying, what the fuck doing? This is a terrible idea. And then 5.5 years later, we're about to release some of them, and they are very, very good.
Well, we're excited for
That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Ryan, that's a soundbite right there. What the fuck are you doing? You guys don't chase the hype.
No.
I don't. What's your opinion about hype beer?
No, I think it's. I think doing that is very short-sighted. I think that.
But could you? And I'm not trying to be argumentative.
Sure.
Could you have said that about New England style IPAs back in the
But
day?
that's not what we were trying to
No,
do
I
either.
agree. But
Yeah, and if you look at
yeah.
our labels, we've never written
No,
out.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
Easy
Yeah.
or any of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
It just was the kinds of beers that we really enjoyed, and we're kind of slowly developing and finding over those first few years. So we never intentionally limited supply. We never did kind of the gimmicky things that made people freak out.
Yeah.
We always tried to keep hospitality and customer service and customer experience in mind at all times, knowing that we, for a very long time, were not able to make folks happy, which was this very difficult imbalance.
Yeah, running out of beer, waiting in line,
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
sucks.
I hate waiting in line.
Yeah,
I really do. I hate it.
Waiting in line, whether it's by design or
by demand.
by demand,
Yeah.
can be two different things. So,
Yeah.
So it's always been by demand for you.
yeah, I mean, it's never felt good either.
Yeah.
We've never said, "Oh wow, look at that line, that's awesome."
Very
No.
stressful.
No, it's
No.
like, oh, these people are probably pretty unhappy, because I would be very unhappy.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get this beer, but I'm standing outside in the rain.
Oh my
Right,
God, I used
right.
to bring like
That's not good.
kids in line chalk to just
Oh,
color
God.
on the sidewalk and keep them entertained while they're like slow
Yeah.
moving along the way.
Yeah.
But like JC said, the hype is not sustainable,
No.
and it makes it so much more stressful for you to try and
And our team.
and our team.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, I guess some people do want that, or like that. But for us, again, thinking about the range of styles, that's what we want to do. And there are definitely like moments in time for anything and everything. And if you're fortunate enough that what you love to do and what you do really well has that moment in time, that's great. But we're looking at this as a lifetime
Yeah.
experience. And so we want Trillium to be sustainable, and we want to keep learning and growing and trying new things. Maybe some of those things will be, you think about seltzer, for example, right?
Yeah, I was
so
just
like,
about to go
Yeah,
there.
that was
Yeah.
right.
next
So
question.
hard seltzer, like
Yeah.
hype right now. But we started working on alternative fermentation stuff long before that. And actually, when seltzer was having its moment in time last year, and it still is for
Yeah.
sure, we dumped ours because we were not ready to. We were going to launch it last year, and then COVID hit, and we were like, we can't launch a new product right now when we don't even know if we're going to be able to
Right.
exist through this.
Yeah.
So we
You guys weren't going to do barrel aged seltzers. No, I'm just kidding.
So we dumped
Yeah.
it all so that way we would have room for beer, which we knew was going to be,
Selling.
Yeah.
which would keep
What a
us
good
going.
pivot. Yeah.
So now we're releasing it, but we have other, we've got our distilling license
Yeah,
here and a
that's what I was
winery
gonna ask, yeah.
license.
That's
So like there's
awesome.
so many other things that we want to be able to do and make, and on the food side for fermentation too. So hopefully some of those things will be cool, but
Oh yeah.
there'll definitely be stuff that we want to consume.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That is cool.
You guys host events here, right? So what kind of events can be hosted here for, our listeners who want to come and get married here or something?
Get married here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have so many plans for things that we have not done yet. Like, there's a lot that we can do with all of this space. So, like, any of your typical, like, personal events, we want you to be able to celebrate them in our spaces. So, yes, you can get married here, and we've got some weddings being planned in process right now. Engagement parties, bachelorette dinners, like corporate, whatever, whatever your thing is, you can do that event here. But we have plans for bigger stuff.
Cool.
So we've already announced Oktoberfest,
Yep.
for example. So yeah, working on plans for a 2-day event at all 4 of our locations.
Oh my gosh.
for that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's big, and actually just made my stomach seize up
Right.
right now.
Going around to 4 different locations. It's a model that we see in other cities, right? We see that across the country, whether it's
You'll
in
make new
Portland, or
locations.
Portland,
Yeah.
Maine, right? Having multiple locations. Was that always something that you were like, I want to have multiple locations, or was it just timing and demand?
No, I mean, Canton was out of necessity.
Yep.
We had to get bigger, so we needed more space to brew.
Yeah.
And then the Greenway was next. And so the beer garden, the Rose Kennedy Greenway, was kind of an opportunity that was presented to us that we were like,
No brainer.
well, no, I mean, no.
Yeah, can
We're
we
like,
operationally
we have a lot to do.
handle it?
Oh, yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
even do this? And so we had 2 months to put together a proposal that had to be accepted. So they actually sent out an RFP and they sent it to us specifically. And so we like won a bid to do that project based on our concept and our proposal and how
Yeah.
well the operational plan was laid out. So that was it. And then what was next? Oh, then wait. I've lost track of time. But like
Fenway?
Fenway
Yeah,
was
yeah.
actually our most recent, but
yeah.
we were working on Fort Point, the restaurant
The
before
restaurant.
that.
Yeah.
So the restaurant in Fort Point was intended to, again, like be a more hospitable, more welcoming space than Congress Street. So we were working on that in parallel.
Yeah, it was like a knee-jerk reaction against what customer experience was like at Congress Street.
Right.
Where you're probably not going to, if you come and there's a line, you're going to be outside for a while.
Right.
Getting hit with rain and snow and sleet. And
It's what you expect, going into it.
yeah.
Yeah. So then Fenway was, I had said to our team, like, we're done with new projects. We had, like, I think somebody literally wrote it on, wrote down the date, like,
Yeah.
mark the date, no more projects. And then we got presented with the Fenway opportunity, which this is more romance, but that is the building 401 Park Drive, which is the building where Time Out Market is now.
Yep.
That's the building J.C. and I met
Oh,
in.
get out, really?
And yeah. And so if it wasn't for kind of some delays in opening, we would have opened on around our 10th wedding anniversary. So I was like, oh no, this is special and
Meant
this
to
is
be.
really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, one more.
Yeah.
Cool.
The industry we see kind of going in the direction of lagers, pilsners, those more sessionable beers. I know that you're dabbling in those. I've seen more coming out. Do you like those beers?
Yeah,
I
I
love
mean-
those beers. Are those like every brewer's like, yeah, that's our favorite.
Yeah, we like I said earlier in our discussion, kind of love all of those beers. Early days, we really wanted to make some as well, but man, the crushing demand of IPAs.
Tank space.
Yeah,
Yeah, tank space is optimum, right?
Yep, and if we're going to make them, we're going to make them right. So we had to kind of wait until we were able to get the warehouse up the street from Canton. So we kind of doubled our square footage to about 70,000 square feet to move out all of our wild beer that was present
Nice.
Oh my God.
at our main location, and move it up to that warehouse, and then put all the infrastructure in. And instead of having a lagering cellar, we have a lagering mezzanine in Canton, where we've got our horizontal tanks. So it took a number of years, but we've been making our lager program has been in place now for 4
Yeah.
years now
That's
or so.
awesome.
And we want to make sure they were given their kind of due time that they need.
Yeah, for
And there is a balance where there is such thing as too much lagering time, as we found out with yeast autolysis, and making sure that you get that balance correct. So the good news is that Burke, our head of quality, spent 8 years in Germany, both studying and as a professor. So has tons of experience for lager production and some of the best of the world. So
That's helpful.
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's really cool.
So we want our listeners to come to any of your locations. So if you want to list them out, you're more than welcome to. Or we can also include that. We're going to include that in the link below of our episode. But you guys are located at.
Yeah, so we are located at 50 Thompson Place in Fort Point, which is in Boston, and that is our restaurant. It's got a patio and a roof deck and indoor dining, and we've got a little brewery there, and you can get retail to go as well. So that's a pretty big space. It's a great dinner or lunch out.
Yeah, we do a bunch of private events there as well.
Yep. And then we've got the beer garden on the Rose Kennedy Greenway, which is open seasonally. And that is exactly as it sounds. That is just like a big, open, beautiful outdoor beer garden right in the heart of Boston. So that's a fun experience. Then we've got Fenway, which is in the Fenway neighborhood of Boston. And that is a tap room and has a big open patio as well. We've got kind of light snacks there, but there are a ton of amazing restaurants in the area, and you can bring food in. I'm actually doing, I don't know when this is going to be released, but I'm hosting book club there tonight.
Ooh, cool.
And then we're in Canton now. So 100 Royale Street in Canton has a restaurant and a beer garden. And this is kind of the central hub of all things that will be Trillium and coming out of Trillium for many, many years to come.
Plenty of parking.
And so much.
Yeah, so much parking.
Yeah, plenty of parking, and we really designed the space to allow for whatever the day offers. So if it's this beautiful 68-degree day in late March, and everybody wants to be outside, we're able to accommodate our full occupancy outside, and vice versa. If it's like screaming hot, and you just like, I need to duck into some AC, then we can do a full occupancy inside as well. So
Yeah,
we have so many chairs here. It's
so many chairs.
chairs.
Yeah, the
I love
tap
it.
room, the restaurant, the bar space. Yeah,
All locations kid friendly.
all of them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, Erica, should we ask?
Yeah, I'll ask a
Ask.
question. So,
Ask away.
what would you like to learn more about?
Oh, I got so many things.
Is there anything specific?
That was Sound Guy Ryan's question.
Yeah, I really like his
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
so I
Oh.
take it now.
Learn more about like in life, in business, in beer.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
The next one's going to really get you if you're tripped
Oh
up with this
no,
one. So
I want to learn everything about everything. I don't feel like I know enough about anything.
that's a fair answer.
Yeah, I think the moment you conclude that, I've learned all there is to know about this one particular topic,
Oh,
then
how boring.
oh my God, that's kind of insane. As soon as I learn more about something, it just raises a million other questions.
Yeah.
And all of us are standing on the shoulders of the folks that came before us, right? So you got all this incredible amount of knowledge, and now it's time to kind of take that and build from it. So I can't hope to know all the things I would love to know in my lifetime across all the different disciplines that we've kind of thrown ourselves into. So again, it's one of those things I need to personally work on.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of anxiety that comes when oh boy, there's all these experts that have come before us, and they chose to, or were able to, or could only focus on their one discipline. And how could I ever come to hope to know even a fraction of that? And we've thrown it, like I said,
Yeah.
throwing ourselves into all these other disciplines.
Yeah.
So
Like agriculture, farming.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, food science. I
Yeah.
mean, all the things. There's just so much to learn.
yeah,
So it's safe to say
everything.
Everything.
12, 13-year-old Esther and JT. JC, did you envision this?
No,
No.
not even close.
Not even close. You wanted us like a farm in Connecticut.
No, I wanted to be
Yeah.
a baseball player.
Oh, you did? Really?
Yeah.
I wanted to be a goalie for the New York Rangers when I was 8 years
Nice.
old.
Oh, get out.
So I have, like, failed in
Henrik
life, I guess.
Lundqvist, he just retired, so there's your opportunity.
opening,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
an opening right now.
That was
so-
my life's dream
It
when I was
sounds
8.
like you're pretty tenacious, so I feel like you could get it. Like, jump off the
I
career
believe in
path.
you.
Yeah.
I really wanted to play left field for the Sox.
You did?
Stand in front of the monster. And,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Our left field, we could probably use that too. So it's whatever. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I know you're
This was fun.
crazy busy,
Good.
so we're gonna sign off. But thank you again, and
Cheers,
make sure
friends.
Thank you.
yeah, make sure you go to Trillium.
Yeah. Any of their locations.
Plan a trip around coming to Boston and come to Trillium.
Definitely.
Don't ask us to ship beer anymore. Because
Yeah, just
just
get
don't.
here.
No, just come here. Well, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you to JC and Esther from Trillium for doing this episode with us this week. It was awesome learning about what Trillium is all about. I think you've had their great beer, but knowing the story behind it makes that great beer even better. We really enjoyed our time, and next week we have an amazing episode, and we're just getting off the flight in Davenport, Iowa to talk with this guest.
Stompbox. And you told me a really cool fun fact about them.
You know what? I did. Erica, actually, I'm going to ask you.
Oh no.
Erica, do you know what Davenport, Iowa is famous for?
The name sounds really familiar, but I guess I don't know.
Sliced bread. Believe it or not, sliced bread. They
Wow.
invented the bread slicer.
Best thing since sliced bread.
Best thing since sliced bread. Yeah, so this episode will be the best thing since sliced bread.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm
So,
excited.
Until next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.